Okay, we are back. What is up, y'all? Welcome back to the Angel Face Magic Hour. I'm your host, Grace Landon. I'm an intuitive and an energy healer, and welcome back to the podcast. Today, it's going to be a solo episode, and I'm really excited because today we are embarking on a new series here on Angel Face Magic Hour, where we're going to be getting educational. We're going to be getting inspirational, and I'm going to give you guys some information about the energy body. So I want us to begin with the base, begin with the beginning, the root. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, but this is going to be a new series, so welcome to it. It's Energy Body 101. So I want us to talk about, over the next few episodes, to talk about the energy body. What is the energy body? What are energy centers? We're going to be talking a little bit about the chakra system, and that's kind of how we're basing our information through this 7-center system, which is definitely a simplified version of the chakra system, but to not overcomplicate it, we're going to go with the 7-chakra system. And then we're going to be bringing in some other information that is a little bit more psychic channeled information that I have developed through my own practice using the energy body and working with energy healing through Reiki and all the other stuff I do with the psychic stuff and whatnot. And a lot of this information, is based on Hindu traditions, and then it was kind of brought over to the West, and within like more of Western esoteric systems, they were kind of simplified. So we talk about it as a 7-center system, but there are some other additional energy centers. And then if you look at other like schools of thought, if you look at Chinese medicine, or what I have practiced is called Jian Shen reflexology, which is a Vietnamese practice, there are thousands of energy centers. So we want to make it simple to begin. And if you get really into it, you can start diving into all these different systems and start seeing how you relate to it. Because I personally find it fascinating. That's why we're about to do like a 12-part series for you on the energy body. But I want to start by making it simple as to not overwhelm you. So with this series, I'm going to give you some information. We're going to do some education around what are energy centers, and we're going to go through the different 7 energy centers and a little bit beyond. Once we get towards the end of the series, we're going to be talking about the spirit body, the auric body, the star body, whatever you want to call it. We're going to be talking about the rainbow body, and just different people who practice different techniques to connect with these auric fields. And I'm really excited to share with you information that I have channeled, as well as all the stuff I found through research and through the classes and stuff that I've taken through Reiki and mediumship and all that good stuff. So this is Energy Body 101, and this is our part 1, episode 1. I'm not sure what to call it yet, but welcome to the root, into the roots. We're going to be talking about the base chakra, the base energy center, or the root. Some people refer to this as like the foundation. So we're going to be talking about what that is, why we care, and how we can connect with it and use these energies. And we'll probably get into a couple exercises too, as well, that you can practice and play around with. So I encourage you guys to explore your own energetic centers as we're going through this series. So if you want to, along with me, I encourage you to start with the root and start exploring these foundations and going up to the crown. And if we want to get into all the juicy, good psychic stuff that we talk about on the podcast all the time, and we interview people about their weird stuff they do, if we want to get into the ethereal realms, like seeing clairvoyantly, clairaudience, like all that fun stuff, which sometimes is not fun. Sometimes it's really like intense, but we want to make it fun for you now. But if we want to get into all that, we need to really examine the root, the sacral, and the solar, which is the first three chakras, the first three energy centers, and really get those solid and really feel comfortable in your body before you're starting to open up these other things. And some people are just born opened up, so starting to more like hone in and use those things in a way that you can understand more. Then we really have to build up these other layers and be solid in our body, grounded in our body, before we can start to explore all these things and start to feel safe and rooted and grounded and sane enough to handle it. Because if you are not rooted, if you're not grounded, then it can cause burnout. It's the same as a tree. We want those deep roots, so when the winds come in, we don't just fall right over. So we want to be able to, I see it as this, like, we cannot change the inevitable. Like, there's always going to be things that are stressful. There's always going to be things that are fearful. There's always going to be disasters and chaos and little things in your life and weird things in your relationship and people that piss you off and people that you're jealous of. Like, there's always going to be emotions that come up that we need to explore and examine and process and allow. And that doesn't make us bad. That doesn't make us like a failure if we have these things come up, because that is inevitable. But when we are rooted, when we are grounded, when we are inside our body, we're able to sustain ourselves through those experiences. So when something bad, quote unquote, happens to us, we're able to handle it. We're able to experience it without it destroying us. We're be able to process it in our own time. We're able to let things move through us when we are grounded. So we are the tree in the storm. We want to be rooted. We want things to move around us, but they cannot shift us unless we let them. And this isn't to say we want to ignore the things around us. I want us to go through them and process them and experience them, because that's why we're here, to have life, to experience life. And life is not always good. Life is beautiful and shitty. It's everything all at once. So we want to connect with our root, connect with our base, so that we feel safe enough to experience those things instead of hiding, and instead of just letting the breeze take you away. So before we really get started into the root, I just want to give you guys a couple of little heads up about some cool stuff I got going on. So I'm very excited. I have my first in-person event that I've done I'm pretty sure I did one last year, but I can't remember, but it's been a hot minute and I'm very excited. So this is going to be on October 22nd, which is a Saturday. And I picked this day specifically because I know a lot of people don't work on Saturdays. So I hope that some people can come. I'm very excited. So this is going to be on Saturday at 10 a.m. And this is going to be in Sonoma County, California, where I live. Once you sign up, I will give you the exact location where we're going to be meeting. But this is an event, it's called Hike and Heal. So what this entails is we're going to be meeting up at one of the local parks in the area, and we're going to go on a gentle, light hike. It's not going to be super strenuous. There will be some uphill stuff. So I encourage you to wear sneakers if you're coming, or hiking boots, bring layers, bring some water, bring some snacks, all that. All the information will be in the show notes if you want to sign up, and there'll be a link to the workshops tab on my website, which is just my name, gracelandon.com. And on there will be all the information for sign up. It's $33 to attend. So what we're going to do is we'll go through this light hike, and then we're going to stop at like a nice location in the park, and we're going to do a breath work meditation and some Reiki energy healing and a group healing. I'm going to give everyone Reiki, and then we're going to walk back to our cars and have a wonderful day. So it's going to be really fun. I think it's going to be about 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours. I have to time the hike, see how long it takes. But all that information, yeah, will be available. If you have questions, email me, DM me on Instagram. I'll give you all the details, but I'm not giving people the location, the exact park we're meeting at until you sign up, just because, you know, people are weird. So I'll give you the exact location we're going to be meeting. Of course, if you want to know, like, you know, accommodations, like about the hike and stuff, please let me know and all that. But yeah, it's going to be October 22nd. It's called Hike and Heal, $33 with your girl, Grace Lennon. I'm so excited. I haven't done an in-person event in a long time, and it's going to be really fun. There are 11 spots available. So I'm hoping we can keep this like a small group, but I'm hoping, you know, a couple people will make it. I would love to have you guys. And yeah, all the information in the show notes. Also, we have a Reiki class coming up that was supposed to happen in September, and it didn't happen. So it's still happening. I'm still going to be doing it in person Reiki 1 class, and I will put all the information in the show notes, how you can sign up, because I am going to be doing all that later today. So I'm really excited, and it's going to be so nice to see people in person. So if you are in Sonoma County, or if you are, you know, around that area, Marin, Bay Area, if you love me, but that's really far. So I understand if you want to try for that. But if you are kind of close-ish, come. We're either going to be in Santa Rosa or Sebastopol. So I'll let you know if you sign up. I have 2 hikes in mind that I love, but I'm going to go this week and time them both and decide on the final location. So also, if you are in Sonoma County and you have suggestions for badass gentle hikes, I could be swayed at the location. But yeah, that's that. So I'm very excited. If you want to work with me otherwise, I do everything virtual. So even if you're not here and you want to hang out, do some Reiki, get a reading, everything's on my website. So yes. So we're going to get into the energy body, and we're going to be talking about the root today, the base chakra, the root center. So basically this is the foundation. This is the foundational energy center. So when we are born and we come into our physical body, this is one of the first energetic centers that is activated. So eventually they all turn on, but a lot of people have, I would say the root and the sacral are the most common that a lot of people have imbalances in. So the root is connected to our foundation, so to our literal roots, so our genetics. There is some information that people say, and it's all about your belief system, if you believe in ancestral karma and all that stuff. But a lot of people believe that our root is connected to our family. So if we have any kind of like imbalances in this area, it might be connected to things that are learned behavior, learned emotions, learned fears, learned, you know, learned pieces of energetic information from our family. And that could be our mother and our father, but that could also be further back, that is kind of essentially like subconsciously running in our body. So this is somewhat scientific, but this is not science yet. But there is, information about our cells and how our cells are contained within our grandmother's womb. So there is some information about how genetic traits are passed through time. This can also be emotional. So we have some information and scientific studies around physical things. And there also is things about like mental health and things like that, how those are passed genetically through our blood and through our DNA, but it's also emotional. So sometimes when we have a fear, like for myself, for an example, I am very scared of bridges, and I've never had an experience with a bridge that was like, well, I had one, but I had it before the issue with the bridge that I had. But I've had this fear around bridges, and my mom also has that fear. So it's like, did I pick that up from my mom? And there's, it's questionable whether it's my mom talked about it a lot, and then I started thinking that and feeling that fear, or I inherently had that fear within my body because it was in her body, and our cells and are connected. So we don't exactly know yet, but within the root, oftentimes there is information that is connected with our family. So our root is connected to our stability and our foundational sense of self. So do we understand who we are? Do we understand our personality? Do we understand what we desire in life? So that could be things like, do I want to live here or there? Do I want to do this job or that job? But it could also be as simple as, do I want a sandwich or a salad? It's like these decisions and our inability to understand what we want and what we desire can affect us in these really minute, tiny ways. So the root is connected, to that foundation and that stability, and also fear. So what are we scared of? Our human nature of we are scared of the dark. We are scared of fire, these things that are just kind of within us, instincts, our human instincts. So that's connected to our root. So in modern society, a lot of fear is centered around stability and security, around survival. So before, survival, was a lot about can we fish and hunt and hide from bears well enough? And now it's become this systemized thing because we live in a society, blah, blah, blah. But do we have enough money to pay our rent? Do we have enough food in our fridge? Do we have enough friends? Are we in a relationship? Is anyone ever going to love us? These things that some of it is valid. We need a roof over our head. That's valid. That's a valid fear. But some of it is just based upon societal norms and expectations. So we have fears connected to decision making, because if we believe that we make the wrong decision, then we're not going to get to a place where we can feel safe and secure. So the root, the base, is connected with safety and security. This is the first thing that's formed when we come into our human body. So a lot of people have traumas, whether that is big T or little t, around their childhood. And so when we are born, these things affect us on a subconscious level, probably till about 7, and then to more of a conscious level afterwards. And then once we're 25 and our brain is fully functioned, then we can start to analyze those experiences. But like little things like your family yelling at each other, or big things like, you know, your mom divorced your dad, you know, things that really affect us as a child, and we can't process and understand them enough because we are a child, and we can't understand people's perspectives yet because we are a child. That affects us on a subconscious level, and it affects our energy center, and specifically our root, and it affects the other ones too, and we'll get into that in all the other episodes, but we're just talking about the root today. It affects our ability to feel safe. So myself, and as an example, I moved a lot as a child, and it's not like those were like horrible things. Like, you know, I had a cool ass friends, you know, I had good experiences in school. Things were nice. Like when I did eventually make friends in each time I moved, but subconsciously, that definitely affected my ability to feel like I could make a home, like I could place down roots and I could feel safe. So for me, I feel like I have to move every few years. Like, and I moved in January into this house, and it feels really nice. But like the last house, I was feeling like, so like I had to get out of there, and I have to get out of here. I have to get out of here. And it's like, I don't feel like I can put down those roots because I didn't have that experience as a child. It was like, I got used to the shifting and the changing. And so when you're in chaotic experiences, whether that is, you know, like my experience, like the chaotic wasn't like horrible, but as a child, you perceive that as chaos because you're not in your same day, same day thing that builds that stability for us. So just thinking about your experiences as a child, and then even further back, you know, through pregnancy, like, did your mother have any issues with her pregnancy? And this is never to, when we start to think about this stuff, I don't want anyone to ever think like this is my fault that my mother had this experience, and because of that, then I have this weird root chakra imbalance. Like, it's, the information is there to help us understand ourselves, but it's not there to make us feel guilty for having emotions and experiences. And like, if only my energy centers were perfect. Like, everything's always changing, and with these energy centers in our body, they're shifting and changing all the time. So if we did a healing work on the root, doesn't mean we have to never do it again. It's just like our muscles in our body. It's just like our organs. Like, we have to maintain them for them to work efficiently, properly. So yeah, I want to be sensitive around that. But what I was going to say is, if your mother had any complications with their pregnancy, that could definitely affect your like root. And it's like, when you are born into the body, it might not be like attached to, how to explain this? Sometimes it's not like the energy is attached to the earth. Like, you might be rooted in your body, but then your body's just floating. So that can happen, yeah, from like fear and discomfort and anxiety and things like that, that you don't trust your body to hold you in. And you don't trust the earth to allow you to walk on it. And that was an issue I had. Like, I was not connected to the earth, and until probably like 27 or something. And looking back at my life, like, oh my God. Like when I had a big healing experience with my mentor around my root and like coming into my birth and like being detached basically from the earth. And it was very educational for me to go through that experience. Like, and now I understand the energy body a little better, but it was very painful and like emotional to go through that and have that realization that I was like disconnected. And through reconnecting, it has helped my body feel a lot more grounded. So we want to be rooted and grounded in our body, but we also want to be rooted and grounded to the earth. So what are the chakras? What are energy centers? So it basically means like spinning disc. It means like spinning ball of light. So some people who are more clairvoyant might perceive them as like spinning balls of light. For me, in my psychic sight, I see them as fields of energy. Like it looks more just like, how would I explain this? Like a it's very hard to explain visions, you guys, because they're so, weird. But to me, they look like neon lights. So, if you see a neon sign, how there's that like glow around the actual neon. It's not exactly the light itself. It's like the kind of diffused light that floats around the neon. The diffused light is how I see the energy centers in the body, and they're faint. But my clairvoyance is not as strong as my other gifts, so other people might perceive it very differently, and they might see them spinning. I feel them spinning, so that's more of a clear sentient thing, so a psychic feeling. So when I work with myself or with someone else in energy healing or mediumship or whatever, I can feel how their energy is moving through their body. And so our energy, it's kind of like it moves in almost like a butterfly wings is how I always explain it. Like it moves up and down and up and down and meets itself back. Another image I could compare it to is if you cut an apple in half and you see like the little like the little humps, and it just goes back to each other. That's kind of how I perceive our energy moving. So when our energy is blocked or is clogged or is moving slowly or is moving too quickly, it's not like we just have to like turn it a different way. It's a lot of working through emotional things for our body to then heal itself. So when we bring Reiki into it, we can allow things to move out more quickly, but we're not exactly like pulling it out of the body. We're allowing the body to do it itself. So I could compare it to like a scab or something. You might put like an ointment on it to help the healing process, but you're not supposed to exactly like peel off the scabby layer, because then it's going to take longer to heal. So it's kind of like that. Like we'll put energy in there with the ointment. This is the healing ointment, and it allows the process to take place on its own. So our energy, we want it to move more like these little butterfly wings, like in and out. We don't want it exactly spinning like a vortex. We don't want it to really move too slowly or too quickly. It's, I would liken it to like our blood, like our lymph, like we just want it to flow freely through the body. And so when other areas are blocked or moving slowly, then it affects everything else. So it's just like a kink in a hose. Like if there's a kink in a hose, and the water can't go through. So we have to like open that kink, and then the water can move through. I always liken Reiki or energy healing to a spiritual colonic. We're putting the good water in there so the shit can come out. So that's kind of how it works. So if our root is slow or is blocked, then it makes it more difficult for the rest of our body to function properly. And so our energy centers can affect our physical body, they can affect our emotional body, our mental body, and our spiritual body. And it's not, how to explain it? It's not always like the symptom is the cause. Like, it's not like always like the root chakra imbalance is why I have this problem. It's more like I have this problem, therefore it's causing the problem, as well as that affects the energetic center, therefore you have an imbalance. So it's more like the egg, not the chicken. I don't know how to explain. Like, it's more like if you have, for example, if you have some fear around stability, that doesn't necessarily mean because you have a root and chakra balance, you have a fear of stability. It's like your fear of stability is influencing your root chakra imbalance, but the root chakra imbalance also is linked to the fear of stability. So it's kind of like a both and chicken, egg, chicken thing. But so let's talk a little bit about kind of like facts, I guess, about the root. So I guess, I don't know if facts is the right word, but information, tidbits about the root. So associations is a good word for it. So like I said, some people perceive the energy centers as these spinning balls of light, and everyone's going to be individual. So if you are working with people in Reiki or any other energy healing modality, or just with yourself, like allowing your vision to tell you and show you what it wants to. So say, for example, you see like an image or a vision connected with your root, but it's not exactly connected with the traditional associations. That doesn't mean that you're seeing it wrong. It just means that that might be more appropriate for you, or the vision or the information is individual to you. Like, it's giving you a message, I guess, about the status of the energy center. So you might see like a frog. So what does the frog mean to you? That's something for you to investigate. And sometimes it might be, oh, the frog is the medicine for you. So what does the frog symbolize? Like, what does the frog show us? That might be some energy that you, if you connected with that energy. So say, for example, it symbolizes playfulness. If you get more playful, maybe that's going to help with the imbalance or the stagnancy or the blockage that you're experiencing. So it's all about how you perceive things individually, and also building up that language of archetypes and that symbol codex that we talked about many episodes ago. Like, your individual language with spirit is different than mine. So I could tell you things, but you might learn them differently through your relationship with spirit. And also, when we say spirit, for me, I'm talking about my spirit guides. I'm talking about like my higher self. I'm talking about like God, source, spirit. But we could also be talking about our personal spirit. So it's just however you want to connect with that word. So everything within mysticism, within metaphysical stuff, is very individual, and it's very based on personal gnosis, like how you perceive things. So I'm going to give you guys some associations, and I think it's very interesting. But again, you might perceive it differently, or you might have different associations that you can make connected to it. So yeah, that's being said. So with the root, I took some notes, guys. So yeah, again, it's connected to our safety and security, our survival needs, the root of our inner being, the root of our authentic self, the root of our personality. Like, who are we? Do we know? Who am I? It's connected with the color red. It's also sometimes connected with the color black, and black is kind of like the summation of all things or the absence of all things. So the root can also be connected to like our inner connection with the void, our inner connection with God, source, spirit. Like, are we connected to the earth, but are we also connected to our body? And our body is a symbol of God, basically. So we are made in the likeness. That's kind of like how I would explain it. So the root is also connected to red. So that's what most people say, and that's what most people see, is perceive it as red. So red is connected also with fire, but the root is more connected with the earth, more connected with the earth element, and like stones and things that are more permanent. Fire is more quick and destructive, and the root is more about permanence. So I connect it more with like, in like the desert where when the ground is like that red color, that's kind of how I would connect it with the earth. Like, it is this clay, it is this like thick clay that connects us to the earth and also to everyone else that's on the earth, that unification consciousness. We are all rooted within our physical forms. So it's connected to the color red. Red is a lot about like sexuality, sensuality, like life force. So that's both birth and death. Like, red is also connected to like love and passion. So are we passionate about our experience as a human being? Are we allowing love into our life? And that's not just through the heart, but that's through our body. Like, can we feel it? Can we experience it? And that can be romantic love, like sexual, sensual feelings, but it's also like the love that you have for yourself and the love that you have for humanity. Like, can you have compassion? If you're not rooted, then you tend to feel like more separated from everyone and society. It's kind of like fuck people feelings, like, you know what I mean? It's like everyone sucks. But when we are rooted, when we're grounded, we can see like, I am you and you are me, and we are all together, baby. So yeah, that's the root. It's also connected planetary. Some people connect it with Mars. So for me, I feel like it's more connected with, intuitively, I feel like it's more connected with the moon for me than Mars. But a lot of people say that the root is connected to Mars, and Mars energy is also connected to the fire. So different people say different things, but personally, I think the root is, yeah, more connected to like the moon and our ability to reflect on our personal safety and security and love, and being able to see that reflection within ourselves on the outside world, and feeling like good enough, like safe enough, like protected, feeling protected. And that could come from, someone in your life. Like, you feel protected by your family, protected by your loved one, your partner. And that could also come from God, from spirit, from that spiritual connection. Like feeling like there's not always something that's out to get me. And when we have that fear, that inner fear, it is often connected, again, to that imbalance in the root. So things could be moving too quickly, too slowly, or not at all. And also, again, it could be that disconnection from the rest, from the earth and the rest of society. You might be rooted in yourself, but are you rooted in the world? Are you? It's also connected with Tuesday. So it's kind of fun to think about the days of the week and their connection to the energy centers. So it's right now, as we're going through this series, I would ask you, if you so choose, to focus on one at a time, one energy center at a time. But later down the road, it can be kind of fun to create like little activities for yourself, little meditations and stuff for yourself for different days of the week. And there's also astrological connections with days of the week, as well as a numerological associations with days of the week. So that is also kind of fun. And I think it's a good learning tool to remember how to incorporate these things into your daily life. So these are some affirmations. I'm just going to share these with you guys because they're in my notes, but these are from some meditations I created for Spirit School. So if you're an alumni, you might have these, you probably have access to these meditations if you want to check them out. And I also have some free meditations, and I'll put links to the free ones on my YouTube page going through the energy center. So there is a root chakra meditation. So if you want to check that out, I'll put that up. But I think I'm going to put out all the chakra meditations from Spirit School as like a little bundle for people who don't want to take the full course, but want access to those meditations as we're going through this EnergyBody series. So stay tuned for that. I'll let you know next episode. But these are the affirmations, and I will post these as well on Instagram. So if you want to use them and work with them. But here we go. I am safe to experience my body. I am surrounded by feelings of safety, security, and love. Everything that I need, I already have. I am healing. I am healed. So be it, so it is. Yes. And a couple more associations, and then we'll talk about like a little bit of how to connect with these centers. So again, it's connected with the color red. So where is this in the body? Like I said, it's at the base of the spine. So the root chakra, the root energy center, includes like the base of the spine. Like basically, if you're sitting everywhere, that's going to hit the ground. So like your genitals, your buttocks, your thighs, all the way down to your feet. And that's connected to the base of the spine. So you can imagine it like coming, like if you were to imagine it as a red color, you can imagine it like right before your butt, basically, right at the base of your tailbone. And with the centers, with the energy centers, and I'm going to post some pictures on Instagram. And if I get really fancy, which I don't know if I'm going to promise this right now, but I would love to do this. So we'll see if I can get myself to do it. But I would love to make like a visual PDF for you guys to go with these podcast episodes so you could see some visual aids, because I think it would be really helpful. But don't hold me to it. Otherwise, I'll post on Instagram. But I'll let you know in the next episode if I've done it. Okay. Don't hold me to it though. I say a lot of things and I'm trying to be better at promising things because I have great ideas and it's hard to follow through with everything. So the reason that popped into my mind about creating the PDFs. And I was thinking about that earlier on my walk, and I was like, don't be too ambitious, but maybe we will be. But basically the energy centers move forward and backward. And I want you guys to be able to see the butterfly situation I'm talking about. So stay tuned. But yeah, so you can imagine it on like that part of your right above your butt, but it's also moving through into the front. So you can imagine it like a trumpet or something, like it goes in and out. What is it called? Trumpets. This is also connected with our like endocrine system and our reproductive system. Some of the reproductive stuff is also connected with the sacral, but we're talking about like the glandular stuff. And we're talking about the endocrines, and that is very much linked up with our hormones and very much linked up with stress and our immune system. So when we are stressed, fucks with our endocrine system, and that also fucks with our energy centers. So it's all connected, my friends. And yeah, it's connected to you know, sexuality, sensuality. Sensuality is more in the sacral, but sexuality, like, do I feel safe connecting with someone in that way? And also, of course, like things like having children and all that stuff. But it doesn't have to be like for procreation only. But yeah, it's all about like the stabilization of the earth energy that comes up through our body into like our legs, and allowing us to feel like we are really rooted and grounded on the earth, and we can't be pushed down like by the wind that we were talking about earlier. And yeah, it's like about establishing like our inner knowledge of self. Do we know who we are? Like we said a few times, but also what is our purpose? Why are we here? What is the purpose? These are questions that the root asks of us. And these are deep questions. And we can get really existential about these questions. And sometimes that's fun, but it's really about allowing you to feel safe in the day-to-day of like, I feel I have a purpose, even if my purpose is working a retail job that I don't like, because I've been there. But that's all in timing. And, you know, there are also circumstances with outside of our reality that affect our reality, like society and capitalism and all that stuff. So yeah. Also connected, yeah, to Mars, to Aries. Me, I feel more of a moon vibe. I don't know why, but I'm sharing with you guys my intuitive information. So take it or leave it. And then, yeah, this is also connected with the snake and with the serpent. And this is all about transformation. So the idea is that we have this snake, we have this serpent at the base of our spine. And when our energy, our kundalini energy, our life force energy, our chi, our ki in Japanese, hence Reiki, ray of chi, ray of ki, ray of light, energy. When that rises up from the root to the crown, then we are enlightened. And I don't really think that we need to achieve enlightenment in order to like move through healing experiences, but that is kind of like the goal, is to be able to bring the energy from the root all the way up to the crown and out your head. And you can imagine like those visions of like the cobra snake blasting out the head, like in Egypt. That's kind of like the idea of we're taking the coiled snake and we're moving it up our spine. So if you were to look at a like image, maybe this will be in the PDF, but if you were to look at an image of our spine, you can kind of see how there are visual connections between a snake and our spine, and all the different motions and the way that it moves. And we also have our fluid, basically the cerebral spinal fluid that moves from our brain all the way down to our the base of our spine and back and up again. That is also a way that we can kind of like cognitively imagine our energy moving through our body. So there is physical elements to this. It is energetic, but it's also physical, and our blood and our lymph and all our fluids, everything's moving like liquid. We are made of how much water, y'all? You know it. We're made of a lot of water. I think it's 98. I can't be sure. But the energy flows through us. So yeah. Also, I'm really into crystals. Love them. So these are 2 crystals that are connected with the root. So if you want to play around with energetic healing, energetic connection into the root, I would suggest playing with crystals. You don't have to physically purchase crystals. You could also like just work with the colors, so red and black. But if you're a crystal person, if you have a crystal collection, if you like working with crystals, these are some associations. So we have garnet. So this one's kind of like a deep red, more of like a burgundy kind of color. These are beautiful. You can get them polished, you can get them raw. They're very powerful, very much connected to that financial stability, like feeling safe and secure. Like, can I pay my rent? Do I have food in my fridge? Can I put shoes on my feet? Can I pay my gas? Like those basic things that we have to do. The garnet is really helpful for us to feel comfortable doing so. Then we also have this is black tourmaline. So black tourmaline is really about more of that protective energy that we were talking about. Like, do you feel protected, whether that's by your loved ones or by spirit or by yourself? Like, do you feel like you always have to watch your back? Black tourmaline helps us feel more grounded, more stable, and more protected. Also, this is good for like Wi-Fi and like EMFs and like all that shit. This and shungite. So shungite is also, it's like a detoxifier. So shungite, I have to take a sip of this. ASMR, I'm like talking too fast, I'm getting spitties. And this is on video, so we can't have that. So hold on, you guys. ASMR. Shungite is like a detoxifier. Shungite could be helpful also for like the EMF stuff. And I don't want to freak anyone out, so no stress, y'all. But it's good for that. So yeah, black tourmaline, highly recommend. Black tourmaline is pretty inexpensive too, so it's easy to kind of get like larger pieces if you are the type of person to want to do that. But yeah, garnet, shungite, onyx, jet, obsidian. Obsidian's pretty powerful. And also red stones. I love jaspers. So red jasper is more connected with the root. Carnelian is sometimes connected with the root, but typically it's mostly connected with the sacral, and it comes in like red or orange. So a red stone, could work, but it's all about intention. You could work with clear quartz and just kind of set that intention. So something that you could do is just simply placing these on your body and meditating and imagining like a red light flowing up through the bottoms of your feet, moving all the way to the top of your head, and then flowing in that like circular motion like we were describing. So why do we want to connect with our energy centers? Good question. So I think if we are able to stabilize our energy, it allows us to explore the rest of our body and bring balance to our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies. So our energy body is kind of like the first line of defense. I kind of think of it as like our body system's immune system. This is like protecting us and shielding us from everything else affecting our physical form. So when we don't address things at an energetic level, then eventually they become mental, emotional, spiritual, and then eventually physical. So if we're ignoring some kind of emotional behavior pattern, or we're dealing with this repetitive thing in our life and we don't address it, eventually it can show up in our body. And that can show up like pain and disease and all the extreme things. But it could also show up as something as simple as like a conversation that is forcing you to address it. Like say, for example, say you have a roommate and you're supposed to be paying the internet bill and you don't ever pay the internet bill and you're stressing the fuck out because you have to pay this internet bill and they're about to shut the internet off. And then you get, this is such a funny example, but then then your roommate comes out because they got a letter in the mail that has like a big red notice, like must pay bill now on it from your internet company. And she's like, why is this in the mail? And then you have to have a conversation about how you haven't paid the internet bill. And then you're forced to deal with it. And then eventually that's going to help you have some relief, and you got to deal with it. You got to face the facts. You got to pay the money. You got to show up. You got to pay the late fees. You got to figure it out. And that's going to force you to move through the energy component of it, because you didn't deal with it. You ignored it. So eventually it comes out into the open for you to address. So we don't want to be fearful of things like these imbalancings causing chaos in your life. I just want us to have knowledge of this information because it helps us understand how we can understand ourselves. It's like a diagnostic tool. It's a way to understand how our energy and our emotions and everything is moving together, because everything is not isolated. Like in Western medicine and like American society, like everything is separated. We have the brain guy. So if we have mental health problems, we go see a psychiatrist or a therapist or a counselor. Then we have the teeth guy. We go see the dentist if we have a tooth problem. We go see a podiatrist if we have a foot problem. We go see a gastroenterologist. We see a this, we see a that. Nothing is connected, but everything is connected. So if we have these emotional things, maybe something's going on in our intestines. Maybe something's going on in our genetic history. Like everything is connected to each other. So when we only look at one aspect of it, it's doing us a disservice. So when we begin to explore energy body, it allows us to bring in almost like that intertwinedness. Like we're able to see how things are connected. So if you look more at like Chinese medicine, acupuncture, as well as what I have studied, which is Vietnamese, Tien reflexology, and I've only studied like a little, and it's very extensive, so it's a lifetime. But there is a very deep understanding of knowing, okay, there's one little energy center right here. That's connected to the gallbladder and the liver and this and that and that and that and that and that, blah, blah, blah. And if your tongue is dry, then that means that you have an issue with your mother. Like you're able to pinpoint and directly understand where the imbalances are coming from. So I think it's very helpful to see how everything is interconnected with each other. And we can take that further and further, which we're going to do throughout this series, and eventually get into our spirit body and communicating with, ethereal realms and all that good stuff. But we really have to start with the root and understanding like who we are. Do we know who we are? And what are our fears that we can address in order to feel safe, stable, and protected to be able to live life how we desire, to be able to make decisions for ourselves, to be able to like see the means to the end. Like if you want to do something, okay, maybe you don't have the money to do it right now, or maybe you don't have the car to do it right now, or maybe you don't have the schedule to do right now. You could still see, oh, this is my end goal. So how can I work these tiny little steps to get to that end goal of, oh, I could save up money. Eventually I could get a car. And then when I get the car, then maybe I can change my schedule. And then when I change my schedule, then I can do this. And everything is a journey. It's not so simple. It takes a while to deal with stuff if we want to do things properly, quote unquote. Yes, things can shift and change, and we can do a meditation, our whole life changes and overnight, and then we have 100 million Instagram followers and we're on The Bachelorette or whatever your dream goals are. But oftentimes it's these tiny little steps. It's addressing, what are my fears? Am I scared of stability? Am I scared of security? What happened in my childhood? Examining all these kind of tiny little things. And it can get obsessive. So I always encourage people to have something outside of spirituality that is a hobby for yourself. Because sometimes it's like, oh, these things are so interesting. We're learning and learning and learning and learning and learning and learning. And then we don't actually go anywhere. So I want us to take breaks and to come back to the information and say, okay, so yesterday I did the meditation, and then tomorrow I hung out with my kids, and then went to soccer practice. And then, oh, on Friday, I have time to reflect. And then you can say, you can think, has anything changed since the meditation? It's all about ebb and flow. And the energy centers are the same way. So that's the stuff on the root. That's a little information to get you started on the energy body. So welcome to EnergyBody 101, episode 1 for the Angel Face of Magic Hour. As always, please give us some 5-star magic. Give us a review. Share, like, all the things. And if you guys want me to do a PDF and you really want me to do that, and you think I should actually do that, so you have some visual information, please put a comment or send me a DM so I actually do it, because otherwise I don't want to. I want to, but I stretch myself, you guys. I don't need to stretch myself all the time. But I think it would be really cool because I have some visual information I want to share with you. But otherwise, I'll share all that on Instagram. So to close out the show, I thought it'd be fun. For the week ahead, I'm going to pull us a little angel card. These are really fun. These are classic. You've probably seen them if you are my age or older. But they just give us like a word and intention. So I want to ask Spirit, what is our intention? What is our focus for the next week? What should we allow into our life? Like, what should we explore more this week as we're connecting with our root and as we're examining this part of ourselves? And then we will see you in the next episode. So how this series is going to go is I still have a bunch of cool ass guests coming on. So it's basically going to be every episode that's not a guest episode in the next coming weeks is going to be a different part of this series. So all that shit will be labeled on the podcast. You'll understand. You won't get confused. If you do, let me know. But yeah. And then, yeah, links in the show notes for Hike and Heal, for Reiki class, as well as the free chakra healing meditation series I have on my YouTube. So yeah. What is our intention this week? What should we focus on? If you're listening to this and not watching the video, I'm shaking the cards around. Let's see. Ooh, I love it. It's backwards, but you get the idea, and I'll post this on Instagram. Spontaneity. Allow spontaneity to guide you this week. All right, y'all. I love you very much. I will see you in the next episode. Have a wonderful day. And if you like this, please let me know. As I said, do all the things, share and whatnot. So that's that. I'll see you later. Bye-bye. Bye now. Also, I saw a hummingbird just now, so that's pretty cool. Okay, bye.